As always, I am Bob of Tales by Bob.
I'm the Ask the Podcast, Derek.
And I'm Ben, the Wayward Wordsmith.
Woohoo! Y'all, yeah, I feel like y'all probably doubted us that we wouldn't be back on time, like we said we were, but we are, because we recorded a bunch of episodes to make a buffer. So we're
I
here.
cannot, I cannot wait for to be some kind of technical difficulty, and this comes out like randomly a day later than it was intended to, or something. Just something that would be Bob's luck.
Oh my god, why did I put that out into the universe?
I don't know.
Yeah, good question. Not smart, Bob.
Fuck.
You're just getting back in the swing of things. That's what
Yeah,
it is. You're out of
yeah,
practice.
yeah. I'm not familiar with how bad my luck is. Actually, so funny story. Yesterday, knowing how recording goes with me, I was like, you know what? Let me just get all my gear out. Let me get everything set up like I would if I was actually recording. And I'm going to jump on to the Discord where we're going to be recording these, and I'm just going to pop in. And what do you know? Because I made it on my Discord. The We have a Deep South uh, rural fantasy Discord. We made a channel on there for recording, and I popped in there, and what do you know? Ben was in there, and I was like, just blind luck. Jumped in, and it took us like 10 minutes. Now, keep in mind, we had the three of us had a pre-production meeting like a week earlier, and everything went fine. And then me and Ben happened to randomly hop in here and had to spend like the next like 15 minutes figuring out why we could not hear each other.
But we got it.
We did.
It took a while.
It did. It was real frustrating, and it was like, oh yeah, no, this is what it's like to
To be
record with us.
fair, you caught Discord unawares. Discord was not expecting such things to be. Discord now understands that we have a pattern, and they're going to stick to. Discord's going to expect us to stick to it.
Yeah.
So if you go sideways, it's going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa! I didn't sign on for this.
There you go. If you're curious and you would like to hang out with the three of us, like I said, we have the Deep South Rural Fantasy Discord. We're the two authors, and Derek's the moderator on there. You can find an invite link to it on my link tree, which is linktree/TalesbyBob. And you can come in there and hang out and ask us questions. We've got I think we got a Book Spirits Booze channel in there. So if you want to hear us discuss particular topics, if you want to suggest a book that you want us to read that we probably won't, but we're open to suggestions, feel free to drop them in there, or just hang out with us and post funny memes, meme us. It's fine, it's good, we love it. All right, so let's dive into the news.
Oh boy.
I have a couple of doozies for us. Here's the headline. Thirsty raccoons are breaking into homes in Germany and specifically stealing beer. Right?
Okay, so
Right?
if you're a raccoon willing to break into someone's house, would you not go for the beer? I would go for the beer.
You know? I feel like if I was a raccoon, I would probably go for like food. But
We should ask
Do you
Keith.
think a raccoon that steals a can of beer washes it off before they pop it open?
Huh.
I wonder. So all right, we're gonna build on that. Okay, so
Okay.
this comes to us from the website VinePair. Um, and here's a quote. Raccoons are not native to Germany, but in less than 100 years, the number of the little masked mammals in the country has grown to several hundred thousand. I looked it up. What happened was um, someone brought a pair of them over here and then released them, but that was fine. They didn't really like start exponentially increasing. But then during World War II, there was a fur farm that a bomb struck, and like 20 raccoons escaped, and that's when it started getting crazy. Okay.
Tipping point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So some Germans refer to them as Waschbären, literally washing bears. Um,
Love it.
What?
Yeah.
yeah, washing bears. I can see it. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Um,
Wait, aren't they the ones that put stuff in the water to wash it off before they eat it? So
yeah,
wouldn't they wash
Yes.
off the beer? Oh yeah, they would definitely wash off the beer then. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it seems like they would, but then again, I mean, it is kind of an encased, like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Huh.
I'm wondering at the level of raccoon hygiene, if it's an enclosed, right? Would they
Right.
still wash it off?
I
Yeah.
feel like they would though, because these would be the most sophisticated of the raccoons. They would be the hoity-toities because they're like, I'm going to go into
Maybe
these
they're
people
breaking
places.
stereotypes, though. They're like, oh no, we
Oh,
don't need to wash this. It's a beer. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
alcohol.
Okay.
It's in a can. It's already sanitized.
It'll
Like,
disinfect itself. It's alcohol. It's
right.
fine.
I mean,
They
I
definitely
assume these are very intelligent raccoons.
they put
Yeah.
in all
Clearly.
of this consideration. 100%.
Uh, of course. Of course. So it goes on to say, um, vacationers and locals alike are getting home and discovering that raccoons have raided their kitchens, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage in the process, including killing household pets and stealing any beer they can find. And like when they say like
Okay.
a lot of it is eating like fish out of aquariums. So let's be clear,
Oh,
they're not exactly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
okay.
But it's not just that. It's they are apparently killing. Look, raccoons will fuck you up. Um, I read
I have a
where the red fur
horrible
grows.
raccoon story
Oh,
Ooh.
if you
okay,
want to hear it, but
yeah,
it's horrible.
okay,
So yeah, lady, I don't know which state she was in, but basically raccoon close to her house. She started feeding it cat food because all the
Oh.
cute raccoon. Um, Went to bed one night, left some windows open, woke up to her baby screaming, and this raccoon had not gotten enough to eat, so came inside and had eaten the fingers, toes, ears, like started on the baby's face. By the time she got in there and found it,
what the fuck?
yeah, yeah.
That is not where I saw that going.
That is the deadest raccoon of all the dead
You know,
raccoons.
I was talking when I first heard about the story. I was talking to somebody about it, and I said, you know what? I don't know if they would be able to. If that was my baby, and I walked into a raccoon, I don't know if they would be able to reattach all the fingers and toes and everything. But I guarantee you, I'm getting all of them back.
Oh,
Yeah,
correct. Oh
yeah.
my god.
Wow.
Sorry, raccoon.
Yeah. That reminds me of um Jurassic Park. Um if you've read the books, the
I
compies.
have not read the books.
So
Yeah, me
it,
neither.
it doesn't go into it in the movies that I can recall, but um basically the first sign that you see that like things have gone amiss is compies, the little like chicken sized like bipedal lizard
Yeah,
things, dinosaurs. They some of them have you come to spoilers. Fuck you. The book's been out like 40 years. Um, uh, it they've snuck onto ships and gotten onto the mainland in Costa Rica, and they broke into a house and ate a baby, kind of deal.
yeah.
So that was where my mind immediately
Oof.
went. Um, so yeah, okay. Uh, so yes, I read Where the Red Fern Grows, and that's where I learned that raccoons will drown dogs if they like chase after them and like and get in the water. The raccoon
What?
will like crawl up on top of their head and hold their head under the water and drown them.
I believe it.
Yeah, raccoons will fuck you up.
I when I it's like related drowning animals drowning each other. Um,
I'm gonna
when
have to
I
put
was
every possible trigger warning on this episode.
Yeah, you are. I just tell this quick little thing, but no, I was researching for my Keeper Chronicles trilogy, Where Otter, and I was looking at otter behavior in the wild.
Oh
They're
yeah.
mean as
Yeah,
fuck.
Yes, they are.
yes, otters
Oh
will
my God.
fuck you up.
So I ran across this one clip of an otter drowning a monkey. grab this monkey, and the monkey, there was a branch right on the water's edge, and this monkey is holding on to the branch, and like the water is here, and this otter is like pulling it, trying to drown it, like, and as soon as this monkey's strength gives out, it's going to die, right? It's basically what it is. And the other monkeys would come down and try to, hit the otter, get it to let go. And then the other otters would then attack those monkeys just to like basically stay out of it. You know what I mean? It was like this is, and the monkey is screaming like it's being killed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Oh, it was so rough.
I was going to
Oh,
say, on a completely related note, I just bought those books that you were talking about that you were writing that used this as research. So, yeah.
oh, excellent. Get ready for some violence.
They're real
Yeah.
good. They're real good. Um, yeah, otters will fuck you up. Funny little aside. The Montgomery subreddit. I like this week a guy posted like, I just saw a dead otter on the side of the road on the Northern Boulevard over near the zoo. Did an otter like escape? Like what the fuck? And I went on there and explained. It's like, no, they're actually otters native to Alabama.
Right.
You just don't see them. And the Northern Boulevard is uh, surrounded by like swampy, you know, probably otter infested land. But
Well, it's
Mhm.
Alabama. How much of it is in a swamp?
Otter
Though?
territory.
yeah. So, wow, yeah, okay. So, otters and raccoons, they'll fuck you up.
They
They're
will.
wild animals. It's amazing how
Absolutely.
that works.
Don't mess with them.
Leave them
Yeah.
alone.
So, we'll wrap up
And
by
the shared trait here, the one other thought, the shared trait between them is people think they're really cute.
right.
And by being really cute, then they must be nice. No,
No.
Yeah.
no, not nice.
Whereas possums are so hideous that they kind of circle
Yeah,
back around to cute, but they're actually really cool. Like they don't
they're
fuck with
nice.
anyone. Yeah. Very pro
I
possum.
saved my dog from a or not, no, other way around. I saved my possum. I said, dang it. Hold on. Let me reset my brain. I saved a possum from my dog one time. I thought it was dead, playing dead,
Yeah.
right? Dog came back with a whole possum in its mouth, looking very proud of itself. And it's like, oh my God, you killed a possum. Because this dog, my dog Codex, she's a killer. Okay. If she can get a hold of some animal that is smaller than her,
Is down.
ducks, chickens, possums, you
Rabbits.
name it. If she could catch a rabbit, she would murder it. Okay. One Dragon Con I went away on. I came back home. We were gone for the week. Had somebody coming in checking on the dogs, supposed to be anyway, and come home and there is a dead possum on the living room floor, rotting, black, oozing.
Love
Oh
it. You
wow.
gotta love that.
Wow.
You gotta love that.
Yeah, because we had a dog door, so she went out, caught a possum, brought it back into the house, and murdered it, and then that's where it stayed for the week.
Wow.
So
That was an exciting
yeah,
gift to come home to.
yeah,
Wow. Um,
yeah.
you should at some point, Ben, you should ask our mutual friend Nancy about the time a possum got into her house. It's not my story to
Okay,
tell, but just next time you see her,
yeah, I'll
ask her
do
about
it.
it. So article ends saying this on less frustrating occasions, less frustrating than a raccoon breaking in, killing your cat, and drinking your beer.
I don't know if that's the term for that, but okay.
On less
Right.
frustrating occasions, the raccoons have been seen at city parks knocking over discarded beer bottles so they could drink whatever booze was left inside. Raccoons are funny and clever, and they like beer, says Bertold Langenhorst of the German Nature Conservation Association. So, there you go. Raccoons,
Yeah.
thirsty, beer. Um,
I wonder if that's a specific German raccoon trait.
Could be.
Because Germans love their beer,
they do.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe
Have
that's
they
why
just
could
have
just
they
be why
just
they're doing that. Yeah, because they
yeah,
have the best beer. They're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
they've become accepted the culture and
Yeah.
therefore are now pursuing beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're just trying to assimilate, you know. They're just
Hmm.
they're just trying to embrace the local cuisine.
There you go. They want to be they want to integrate properly. So yeah.
I,
Uh,
I feel I feel we left this news article with more questions than answers.
and and all the best news articles do that for you. All right.
Mhm.
So here's another bit of news. This is some book news um, that ties in a hot button topic of conversation in the world at large with a hot button topic on this podcast. Today, so this comes from Business Insider. Today, IWOT Productions, which is the production company that handles The Wheel of Time, unveiled a new collaboration with Disruptive, an AI software pioneer, to form TrueSource TM, a joint venture company on a mission to transform Robert Jordan's acclaimed Wheel of Time series into the first ever AI enabled entertainment franchise.
Okay, what does AI enabled mean?
Yeah, what does that constitute?
Okay, so here's what they say. I'll just kind of read through all of it and then we can discuss. The company's AI service will be branded as One Power TM and will energize an array of products and services that will extend, expand, and enhance the franchise's current and future media formats, including books, television, movies, video games, and location based entertainment. The first product to channel the One Power is creatively titled The Guide. So, True Source's revolutionary personal digital companion that serves as the gateway to a comprehensive AI powered database encompassing the entire Wheel of Time universe. The guide will be available as a mobile app on Android and iOS devices and can also be accessed through a web browser on desktop computers running Windows and Mac OS. Users of the guide will be able to try out its capabilities for free, but extended use and access to its full suite of features will require a One Power subscription. So initially, it's an AI chatbot companion, basically. As you're reading the books, you can ask it questions. So
Okay.
that's
Hmm.
its initial offering. What I have read elsewhere, their idea here is to have a show Bible, basic or like a series Bible for like showrunners and stuff like that. That or like any so it's basically like you don't have to hire a fact checker. You will have like anyone who's doing anything involved in adapting the Wheel of Time in any way. They don't have to go thumb through all the books. They can say, "Hey, tell me what this person looks like. How many times does someone not relay a bit of pivotal information that it would be easier for them to actually relay than to not relay, thus setting up a pointless book?" Which spoiler, it's constantly throughout the series. Um,
Happened once, but it was very glaring and very frustrating.
um, yeah, so uh, yeah. It also, I feel like it'd be a great way for people who don't want to read the books. They could probably just get a summary of the books provided to them. But you have to think that someone who's not going to read the books, they're not going to pay for an AI assistant about the books. Um,
Mm-mm.
so yeah, um, that's what they say. Who knows what? I think at this point they're testing the waters to see what they can get away with. Um,
Yeah.
because AI is real touchy subject, rightly so. I spend a lot of time at conventions on panels and whatnot talking about this. Actually, when this episode airs, it should be the week that I'm presenting my panel on the Atlanta Self Publishing Conference on what authors need to know about AI. That Ben is another presenter at. What? So,
Yeah.
if
That's gonna be a fun time.
it's going to be a great time. So anyway, but yes, AI super touchy subject. It's like AI is great if you use it ethically. There's just the majority of ways you interact with AI currently aren't super ethical. Not on necessarily the user's side, but on the creator side. So yeah, on the one hand, I'm like, all right, cool. Wheel of Time is a book series that really could benefit from a chatbot type thing. That's like,
Right.
who is this person? I just don't really like. I read that they were like a minor character 4 books ago. Who were they again? And get a little refresher. That's a great use. Do I think they're going to stick to great uses for it? Nope. They are going to fuck this up somehow. And
Uh, so I know you probably weren't expecting this, Bob, but I'm all in for this.
okay, all right.
Here's why. Here's why. Once you have made this, you have no fucking excuse for making changes that make no goddamn sense. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't. This is once this is implemented, any change you can't be like I didn't know. No, you had this resource. You're just negligent and or inept. Those are your options at this point. So I will just be showed even more correct in my previous statements that they suck at what they do. And you know what? I'm just going to leave that there. We're done. I'm not going to go in.
so
Wow, he's fired up.
so
I love the Wheel of Time. It's literally the reason I went to school for literature. It's the reason I started
Wow.
writing. I love it so much. And I have very strong opinions about things to do with that. And these tying it to the potential of having a Bible for the book for the TV show. Well, the TV show doesn't exist,
yeah.
so that's not a real thing.
Uh,
Just yeah.
Also, the time that this airs, this should be airing the week after the weekend that me and Ben were both just at JordanCon, the convention all about Wheel of Time that Ben is a guest at. So
Woohoo!
I just went and hung out. So yeah, so I probably didn't get in because they knew that I don't like Wheel of Time.
Well, they knew you had bad taste. That's
There,
how that
there
goes.
you go. There you go. So yeah, no, I think that aspect of it, the whole like a chat bot to help the reader, I think that's the future of books, of like that will become a fairly common tool, I think. Because the problem with so like Chat GPT, if I get it if folks aren't really plugged into AIs and the ethics around it, like fair. But like ChatGPT, they trained that on content that they just scraped from the internet, and they didn't get
Right.
permission from anyone for it. And they're actually like whole books that have been fed into it. Um, and so it has taken content that they didn't pay for and are now essentially monetizing it. Okay, but
But
if
yeah,
an author like me, I really want to do this, you you get one of these GPTs and you only feed your books into it, then that's what it's trained on. So its knowledge base is your books. So it's going to know your books
and
better than you know your books, honestly.
and your writing style and the themes that you like
Yeah.
and the things that you generally put into your work. So then it kind of can help you be yourself better, more efficiently.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
Hmm.
interested in that.
it's going to it's going to I think that's going to be a huge tool for authors going forward, just on the whole like, ah, shit, 4 books ago I used this character, what did I even say they looked like, I don't know if you ever made a book bible. They're not fun. They're not.
No, they're not.
If you didn't do it starting with book 1, it's a lot of work to go back and do. Guess who hasn't finished theirs? This guy. um because it's a lot of work. And if I could just get a GPT and I could just get it to spit me out my bible, like, hey, give me a list of every character and their description, you know how cool would that be? And then on the other side, for the reader, it's going to be a cool tool. um my books are not super in depth. There's not a ton of characters and whatnot, but how cool would it be? This is what I really want. I want you to be able to go to my website and ask Howard Marsh a question.
Oh,
And
that's neat.
their first person books, it should be able to answer questions. Like,
You're,
put a disclaimer on there. Like, you don't want to take any advice he gives.
Right. Right.
um,
you're gonna ask him a question, and you're gonna sit there, and nothing's gonna happen, and then you're gonna come back in 2 days, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, I was on a bender." So here's the answer to that question, by the way.
yeah.
Also, can I get a ride?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is the future as long as it's done right. And my understanding is you can go to Chat GPT currently, like the company OpenAI, and you can. I think it's $20 a month to get a GPT from them. So, um,
I think the whole like AI thing is super interesting. It's just a tool that you have to be very intentional about how you're going to use it. And
exactly.
people
Yeah.
can use it poorly, but man, it can do some really fun stuff for you as a person if you
Yeah.
just come at it from the right direction.
Oh, I 100% plan to use things like Midjourney or whatnot,
Mhm.
are art generators. I'm not going to use them for
Yeah.
anything commercial, anything that could earn me money. But I do a lot of DMing and stuff like that, like to be able to
Oh
whip
yeah.
up a like, hey, this is what this guy looks like. Boom, you
Well,
know,
I mean, think about it
that's
even
cool.
for from the perspective of a commercial thing. It's like, okay, you don't want to use that, but you can come up with a reference point that you can give to an artist so that they
Yes.
can
Yeah.
then create original art based on that.
Oh, 100%. I heard a really cool use. There's a guy. He's an indie RPG uh designer. He got a GPT, put in the rules to his game, and taught it to play basically. Um,
Hmm.
so that he could, because he didn't have play testers, and so he basically was able to play test
Ah.
his game using a GPT. So,
So you could like practice your DMing. You'd be like, yes, I
yep.
need you to
Uh,
interact with me. And
Huh.
we know a guy, Ben, Jim Nettles. He
Yeah.
is a company that he's working with is working on a RPG DM AI tool. Um, I don't know all the
I,
details, but it's
you
something
know,
that's coming.
as a GM, um, I kind of love the idea of having something else that could GM so I could play, right?
Yeah,
I am just skeptical about how good of a job it would end up doing. You know,
yeah,
like
mhm.
I don't think it's going to have the creative power to really come up with those wow factor moments. It'd probably be fine for a generic campaign. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it
But
would work
I don't know.
for like a pre-made. What are they called? The
yeah.
shoot.
Yeah,
Module.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I wonder
Modules.
if you fed Curse of Strahd into it,
yeah.
if it could then run Curse of Strahd for you.
I probably could.
That
The
could be
question
cool.
is when the characters get off track,
How does
how
it?
is it going to get
Mhm.
them back? That's
Yeah,
that's the real thing. I have no doubt it could go, here's the
yeah,
steps. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But also
But
keep in mind that if you're playing with with friends and you know that you're being DM'd by this thing, and you start going too far off, and it starts being like error does not compute. You can be, okay, guys, we gotta kind of like steer it back in because we're all in this together, and I'm actually getting to play. Don't ruin this for me.
Derek, do
No,
you know our
Keith would
group?
never allow that. Keith
You
would never allow that.
yeah, our group. It'd be the GPT would just close its doors 2 hours in and be like, "Fuck y'all." I'm
right.
like, "Fuckers wrong with y'all."
Yeah.
Um,
And then the players, two of our players in particular, would be like, I don't know what he's so upset about. I just don't get it. I mean,
God. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's, and that's the thing. At this point, AI is still so new. Like, uh, Chat GPT only came out, like the first version of it came out like 2020, end of 2022. The version that got everyone's attention only came out late last year. Like this is still so early days. We've only really, I feel like, scratched the surface on the effects this is going to have. So
So Bob, as you seem to be the resident expert on AI, I have a question for you that I would really like an answer to.
okay.
And that is, how long do you think it will be before we have a robot overlord?
Ooh, good question.
Do they have to be good at his job?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That's going to cut down on this. That's going to make it
And
quicker.
Yeah.
an overlord sets the standards for its behavior, right?
Right.
Oh,
So
fuck.
how we feel about it is irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. I don't know. It's I'll say, like, jokes aside, uh I kind of, at the end of the day, kind of have faith in humanity to a degree. Like, I don't know. Like, nukes were real bad, and we haven't killed ourselves yet with them. You know, I feel like as a whole, we tend to fuck up pretty badly, but we tend to get it right in the end on the whole. And
Because
obviously,
enough people are like, I don't want to
yeah.
ruin everything.
Now, eventually, something's got to give. Something's got to come along, you know.
There will be an accident at some point.
Yeah. But like
Right.
for me, I would be more worried about, like, uh, I think global warming will probably kill us before AI does. that's that's kind of where I'm at. Because you got to think, like, everyone was thinking like Internet of Things was going to be like the thing, man. Your whole house is going to be so interconnected, everything's going to work so great. And that just never really happened, you know? And like so much of this AI stuff has some really cool uses, but like I work in tech and man, I just know like there's going to be a lot of jobs get lost because of it, but I just struggle to see where anyone really has their act together enough that it's going to like kill us all. so, um, but who knows? They say that like every time there's a major technological change, that as many jobs are created as lost. Like the Industrial Revolution, factories killed so many jobs, but then created so many new ones. And like photography, messed it up for painters, but look at how many people have jobs as photographers and stuff now. So that on the whole, everything tends to kind of even out over the scope of time. But they were saying, like, who knows? AI could be the one where that's not the case. AI could be the one that just totally breaks our economy, that, everyone gets laid off because AI um, runs
That's
things.
everything. Yeah.
So to recap, we're all going to die if the raccoons and otters
Hmm.
don't kill us first.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Pretty sound prophecy.
Yeah,
That's not the word I was looking for, but it works.
this has been a real up episode. It's just
I
lots
tell you.
of. All right, so let's
So
get.
really what I'm hearing is we need to jump in a helicopter and go like just buzzing otters and raccoons with a 50 cal. And then afterwards we need to just crash that into wherever AI live. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
And
save
then
the
we'll
Yeah.
save the world.
save the shell casing so that Ben can turn them into
So we can make
pins.
really yeah,
I can make
exactly.
pins for everybody. So,
Sounds like a
so we
plan.
don't forget the sacrifice, right?
And so we don't give up on so we don't go too far into this whole technology thing and we handwrite stuff where it helps me actually remember things, because if I type it I ain't remembering that, but if I handwrite
Right.
it I'll remember that.
Book, spirits, booze. Saving
Solving the world's problems
solving.
150 caliber at a time.
There we go. There we go. All right, so let's dive into the meat of our episode, which I feel like the news is probably the real meat on
That
this
was
one.
the meat, yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about what we have read recently. So for me and Derek, it's since the our last episode, so the past year and a half. Ben, it's whatever arbitrary length of time you pick.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to say I do the past number of years. I set a goal of 52 books a year, and I did end up hitting it last year. This year I am 6 books behind already. This is the farthest behind
Ooh.
I've ever been on a challenge. I ain't been reading much this past 2 months. It's been rough. Um, so, and let's uh let's just kind of go round robin. I'll just start us off with one thing I read in the past length of time, and then Ben, why don't you say something, Derek, and we'll just kind of
Okay.
cycle until we've said all the ones we want to say. Um, so I read the House Witch trilogy by, and I'm going to mispronounce this. So, new listeners that you've come in on season 6, spoiler, I mispronounced every name. I'm terrible. So it's by Delamac, Delamac, Delimhack. I don't know. I think it's Delemach. Just one word, Delamac. Anyway, it's a cozy fantasy trilogy about a guy who is a house witch, a kitchen witch, basically, in the royal castle, and shenanigans ensue. And I've kind of really gotten into cozy stuff here lately. It's kind of like the world's kind of dark, so reading a good little cozy fantasy is, I don't know, a little more escapism than my normal escapism. So, but yeah, it was really good, and they have other books as well, and they work closely with some other authors, is my understanding. And so I don't know, it's cool. You should go check them out.
All right, me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Yesterday I finished Calamity by J.D. Jordan.
Mm.
He's a author here in Georgia, and it is basically Calamity Jane. It's like a sci-fi western. Calamity Jane, she's 15. She has this alien friend, and yeah, they go out and
Okay.
weirdness ensues.
Sci-fi
That's pretty
western.
good.
Yeah, sci-fi
Yeah, yeah.
western like Serenity with Climate. Yeah, I'm here for it. Okay. All right. I like a good sci-fi western.
Crazy coincidence before I pass it to Derek. I had not talked to JD in years at this point, and I got a Facebook message from him saying that he's running for Senate.
Okay.
Ah.
All
So
right.
it's like today I got that message. Finished the book yesterday. Today I get a message. By the way, running for Senate. It's like, okay,
Huh.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, just
Yeah.
finished this book.
Right.
Yeah. Neat. Um. Yeah. That's I don't know. That sounds like something I'd read. Um.
Yeah.
Do you know? Is it trad published? Indie published?
I think it's trad published.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I'm
Cool.
pretty sure, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah. The house witch stuff, I'm like 90%, 95% sure it's self-published. Um, so all right, Derek, what you got?
So we're gonna stay with the same theme. So you said the book that you did that you just read completed was sci-fi western kind of thing.
Hmm.
So we're gonna continue with that trend and go out of traditionally novels and go into. I just started rereading East of West, which
Ooh.
is a comic series by Jonathan Hickman and art by Nick Dragotta. It's it's too complicated to go into in depth, but it's largely based on an alternate history Earth that involves like characters that are the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and there's all this like magic and sci-fi and craziness. It's it's so interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
If you give me a good alternate history that also works in like fantasy elements, the extent to which I'm here for it, I cannot fully express to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've enjoyed that. I've got the first omnibus that I was rereading so that I could read the second omnibus that I got for Christmas, and I haven't quite gotten through the first one to get to the second one yet. But it's as good as I remember. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Ben, you should actually You should check this out. Uh,
Yeah.
it is, if I remember correctly, like I can't remember the exact point of divergence, but if I remember correctly, isn't there like this around the time of the Civil War or something like that? And then
Yeah. Around the time of the Civil War, there was some kind of like impact from outer space or something. There was a huge explosion, and no one really knows what it was, but it was so dramatic that like all of the warring factions, which I think there were 7 of them at this
yeah,
point, kind of come together and like, okay, let's maybe just cut our losses, have our own territories, have our own things, and figure out what the heck this was.
yeah,
And then it just kind of escalates from there.
Hmm.
because it's like there's like the Confederacy, there's like the United States, there's like a Native American nation. I think like the Louisiana Purchase is like a faction. Uh,
Texas is a
Texas,
faction.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it was super cool.
it's really good. Okay,
Oh, what is it? I think it's the Unending Nation or the something like that. That's the Native American ones. Oh, it's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have
Um,
to check it out.
yeah. Uh, so last year I made a bit of an effort to go back and read some classics. Um, all the Elric books popped up on sale. Like omnibus
I
editions of them.
I really want to read those. I want to read them
Mm.
because my dad read them when he was younger, and he mentions them to me from time to time.
The thing about it, what I have found is it's almost like every other book I didn't like. Um,
Mm.
so and I ended up reading a bunch of them, and I think I bought like all the omnibuses, but I think there's one I haven't read because I just finally got like it was so up and down. Like that's the thing when the Elric saga is good, it's amazing, and when it's bad, it's punishing to read.
Hmm.
It's definitely also it's like it's old. You know, most of it's
It's very old, yeah.
pretty old. Michael Moorcock's still alive though; he's still writing stuff. But um, it's one of those like it definitely reads like older fantasy. It doesn't read more modern day fantasy tends to read. So I was kind of meh on it. The other thing, this is real disappointing for me, was I finally read Dread Empire by Glenn Cook. Glenn Cook is probably my favorite fantasy author. I love Black Company's my favorite fantasy series. I love the Garrett PI stuff. Dread Empire is something he wrote quite a long time ago, before the Black Company,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was
Was
just
it the
okay.
subject matter or the craft? Because he could have maybe grown into his craft a bit better if in the Black Company if he was better at it, or was it just that the themes and kind of the direction you didn't really jive with?
That his
That
the
yeah,
craft was fine. I would say it wasn't as
it
polished
was
as anything else,
polished. Yeah.
but it wasn't bad from a craft standpoint. It's just I don't know, just it's one of those just a victim of expectation. Like I went into it
It was never
expecting,
going to be. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So yeah, so I read those two, kind of trying to go back to not the roots of fantasy. Well, Elric is the roots of a lot of fantasy,
Yeah.
but Dread Empire ain't no one listed Dread Empire as their top their top inspiration. Black Company, yes, lots of folks list the Black Company, but no one's really listed Dread Empire as seminal to the genre.
Well, that's because if you read both of them, then they're going to go, yeah, we liked Black Company more, so we're going to
Yeah,
list that one as our influence.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Ben, what you got?
All right. Well, graphic novel slash comics area. I just thought of this one because of Derek, and I got a picture hanging up right up there that you can't see. You ever heard of Usagi Yojimbo?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I haven't
Oh,
read any of
I'm
it, but
oh,
I
dude.
know of
Okay.
it, but I've seen, you see it around, you kind of see it mentioned,
Yeah.
looks cool, but I haven't read it.
I started reading it in elementary school. it has been going on for decades, right? And they have these omnibus collections on Kindle that you can just flip through. That's how I, read them.
Yeah.
Um, and so basically the premise is it's feudal Japan. It's written by Stan Sakai is his name, and really cool. So it's feudal Japan. All the animals are anthropomorphic people. Okay,
I mean, I'm here for it.
so Usagi Yojimbo
Yeah, this is
means
up
rabbit.
Bob's. This is up Bob's
Yeah,
alley, by the way, 100%.
it means rabbit bodyguard, which is the main character. So basically, he's a Ronin that travels the country. He's a rabbit. He's got his ears up in a top knot.
Yes.
And he's super skilled, but his lord was killed in battle, making him a Ronin. So now he travels around just helping people, he gets into trouble. He's like this super good natured person living in a rough world
Yeah.
is what it comes down to. And it is awesome. It's awesome.
So it's Shogun meets Redwall.
Yeah.
I'm here
Yeah,
for
you
it.
could say that.
I am
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome.
I am here for it. Uh that sounds so
Get it right
good.
now.
Yeah.
And there's so much content because he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Like I have 8 and they just keep going.
I'm gonna buy
Yeah.
the first one right now.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
That sounds so good. Um, so that's quick aside while Derek buys that book. I I am like I said I'm 6 books behind on the year. That said, I have read a couple of graphic novels, or I read a couple of trade paperbacks. I read the first volume of Descender, and I haven't logged that because I haven't decided if I'm going to log them on my book challenge because I get weird like that. Like sometimes
That's
some
fair.
some years I'm like, yes, those definitely count, and then other years I'm like, no, I don't think they really count. So I haven't decided if this is going to be a year where I count trade paperbacks as books.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I read that one and it was real good. I really enjoyed it. And then we'll see where the year takes me. But Derek,
Yeah.
what you got?
Let's see. Well, let's see. I probably, I wonder. No, I probably finished that before. Well, since we're still, still
Yeah.
going in the comic trend, so I actually bought Brandon Sanderson's Dark One graphic novel. Um, I've been reading that. I haven't gotten too far into it, but the art's really nice. I love the um how do I say this? The color palette's really dark. Like they do really, really nice dark darks and dark blacks and stuff like that, which I really appreciate when it comes to that was one of the things I liked the most about shoot, Hellboy is
Yeah.
how dark the blacks are and how heavy they use the heavy use of shadow and things like that and the unique art style. But so far, Brandon Sanderson's Dark One, it's been really fun. It's a hefty book. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of the it's an isekai for those who know what that means. But kind of like main characters going crossing between worlds and things like that. It's pretty interesting. I've been enjoying it so far,
It's in
and it's Sanderson. So
yeah.
Right.
Isekai, also known as Portal Fantasy, a lot of the time. Depending, there are some differences I think, but generally speaking, you could.
yeah, I mean
Portal Fantasy.
like Kid in King Arthur's Court
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So
I like it.
My my books, my trilogy would probably qualify as Portal Fantasy, actually.
oh.
Um, all right. So Ben hasn't said it yet, so I'm going to say it, but I know he's been
Uh-oh.
doing it. Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh yeah,
I
it's a good one.
It was probably the best thing I read last year. I'm not
It's
not necessarily from a craft perspective, but from a sheer enjoyment and fun. It was the most fun thing I read last year by far.
Yeah. It's the best lit RPG, hands down, I have ever read.
Yeah.
Um, Fantastic. If you don't know if you like lit RPG, start there, and then you can not read anything else.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
So, and I'll say this. So, it's kind of like Cradle, which I know Derek will mention. Cradle is far and away the best progression
Russian
fantasy.
fantasy. Yeah.
Okay? Like if someone's recommending progression fantasy, they are going to recommend Cradle. They may recommend a couple others along with it, but Cradle's going to be their number one recommendation. Lit RPG, I'd say 90% of the people are like Dungeon Crawler Carl is the move. That said, both of those books, like Dungeon Crawler Carl and Cradle, while being in those genres, they use less of the tropes of that genre
yeah.
than most of the stuff you're going to get in
Do
there.
you know why?
Probably because if once my thing is like the lit RPG, I don't like most books written uh based on D&D. Like
Hmm.
any of the Forgotten Realms books, stuff like that, because they read too much like a game,
Right.
without being a game. Um,
Without being, yeah.
so, so with lit RPG, you go into it knowing there's going to be game like elements to it, but to a degree, you get too gamey, you lose me. And that's just me. Folks who love the lit RPG genre, by and large, they want it to be super game e. I feel
You
like.
know, I agree, but I also think there are practices that I don't know if they're as common now currently, but as much as a few years ago when it was really building up more. Things like posting the character sheets, right? Uh, the start of the book, the character sheet is pretty much blank. And so they post it every chapter. You have pretty much a blank character sheet.
That's
And
kind
if
of
you're doing
cool.
Audible, if it's Audible, hearing that guy read a blank character sheet line
Uh,
by line,
Painful.
doesn't work for you.
the the end result is the books get very fat where most of it's just filler, you know? And I
Uh,
think people have gotten away from wanting the filler as much because you could just say the part of the character sheet that is important. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Talk
The
about
part that
that rather
changed.
than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
So
Here's everything, and you don't need to know 99% of it.
so this is going to be all right. You talk about that. Here's an interesting. We just talked about AI. So a lot of authors have been getting emails from Amazon. I got one. I know I've seen screenshots of a bunch of other authors where we've been invited to partake in Amazon's AI narration. Well, they will take your book and turn it into an audiobook. And all the authors I know, including me, have been like, get fucked. Because it's for us, it's an ethical issue. I don't want AI writing books, taking money away from me. So I don't use AI to narrate my books because I don't want to take money away from my friends who are voice talents. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but guess what? A lot of folks are saying yes and doing it. So I saw a post today on Facebook where a guy has written a Google Chrome plugin that if you're on Audible, it will automatically filter out any book that
Oh,
uses their AI narration. Um, and he said the majority of books that have come out in like the past month have had the AI
yeah.
narration. Audible's about to get glutted with AI narrated books. And the thing about it is the folks who are doing that, I can virtually guarantee you that a lot of them are not doing any sort of quality control. They're taking their book, they're hitting the button, they're uploading it. And all the ones that have the character sheets and stuff like that, it's going to be even worse. Because you have to think
Oh, yeah.
that as annoying as it was for you to listen to those blank character sheets, that person at least had a human intelligence behind it, probably making at least some choices to make it less painful.
Right.
The
I agree.
AI is not going to have that, and it's going to be a nightmare. So,
I was talking to an author at the last event I did who does have their books narrated by AI. And his justification for it was that he's not taking work away from a human person, because if he didn't use the narration, he wouldn't get the books recorded anyway.
yeah, I've heard people make that argument. My
I don't know if that's true.
Well, and my counter to that, because the thing I hear over and over and over is like, well, I don't have the money to get them made,
Hmm.
but you can do royalty share on Amazon. Like, so it's one of those deals. If your argument is, well, I wouldn't hire someone to do the audiobooks anyway, so I'm going to do this. Well, then why don't you just do royalty share? Because, but then if they come
Right.
back, well, I'm going to make less money. Well, okay, so then your issue wasn't that I wouldn't have these books up anyway. It's your issue is I wouldn't have these books up in a way that makes me more money. So
Right.
that's where I kind of come down on that, because like me, I have an audiobook. Hopefully, when this episode airs, my first audiobook will be out. And yeah, I did not have the money to pay a narrator an hourly rate. So I did royalty share. Yes, I'm going to make more money over the long term off these than if I could afford to pay someone up front. But this way, two of us get paid. Cool. It's to me, I'm going to
Right.
sleep better at night. Yes, I could have gone the AI route and had AI narrate all my books, and it wouldn't cost me anything. But I don't know. Just I have friends who are narrators. I don't want to fuck them over.
Does Audible mark the book somehow with their, like, if you go look at the listing for it, is it going to say AI narrated
I assume
anywhere?
I assume it would, because how what do they put the narrator as?
They have
Right.
something
Right.
listing it because I've seen it where it says something. I forget what the term is. But I'm almost positive they have something that specifies that it's read by
Yeah,
Right.
something other
Okay.
than a narrator. But I could be wrong. But I feel like that's something I saw.
yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the coming years, because that's the thing. Like right now, a lot of folks, like you sent me that article, there's like a lot of folks really hate AI right now, but 10 years from
Right.
now, will people hate AI to that degree? Like Amazon could get a huge amount of pushback from people saying, no, we don't want AI books, go to hell. Or what's probably going to happen is 90% of readers don't pay this any kind of attention, and they're
Yeah.
just going to go with it. And eventually, some of them might be like, "Oh, you know what? I just don't like the ones that are AI narrated. I'm just not. If I see that,
A
maybe I won't do
quality
it.
issue, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I won't do that." So I don't know. We'll see. The other thing is, the scary thing is, all these AIs are only going to get better. So
Right.
there's every chance in the world that AI narration gets to a point where it is indistinguishable um, from regular narrators, um, and that quality issue won't exist. So yeah,
In fact, it
yay.
might do better quality because it could do voices. Like, you know what I mean? If it can simulate
Multicast.
different voices and
Yeah,
accents and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dungeon Crawler Carl is good.
It is good. Check it out. Absolutely.
I will say the thing that really surprised me about it is every book that you read, you start to realize more and more that there's like a meta plot going on. Like you go into it thinking this is a lit RPG about a guy trapped in a dungeon with his talking cat, Princess Donut, who is the best. Um,
Hmm.
but as you read, you realize that there's stuff going on in the background that is really cool, and I think that's also it and Cradle have that in common. Like there is, and I don't know, maybe other lit RPGs and progression fantasies have this, but I'll just say something that these have in common is they have if you look at it at face value, it's about a guy getting stronger, but there's really stuff going on in the background that adds a whole nother layer to it that I think is really exceptional. So
So that's one of the things I was going to mention. So when we were talking about why these ones have, it feels like less of the themes, or it's not as heavily themed after the genres that they seem to be the best representation of. The reason that is because most, it's a very common thing in the anime circles. So that's why I'm particularly touchy about it. Is you have one thing that comes out that's very, very successful, and then people try and overanalyze it, and they come to the point where it's like, why was this successful? Oh, these specific types of things or themes are the things that people latch onto as being different that they liked. Then they distill it down to nothing but those things, and they cut away all the quote unquote extraneous parts, which really are the important parts of a story. Like, it's all of the heart, the character, the other parts. So when you have these stories, the things that are getting paired away between the greats and the not greats is the meta plot. It's the bigger thing. Like, sure, this is an aspect of what, and Cradle, the progression fantasy is a part of it, but that's not really what it's about. The whole story is about this character changing as a person and trying to achieve a thing by the end of the cycle, and also the bigger story that's going on around it that you don't really understand how it's going to intersect until it does, and then you're mind blown.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of how that, in my opinion, that's one of the things that people kind of miss, and is a reason some genres get pigeonholed as not as technical or not as good as the things that birthed it. It's because you're distilling it down too much, and you're kind of leaving off the parts that you kind of need to provide the spice or the alternate avenues of enjoyable. It's just different. If you're not taking the whole thing into account, you're missing parts of it.
And that's, you say that, it makes me think, where my mind immediately went was 20 books 50K. For those who don't know, 20 books 50K is it's a platform that can be very helpful. They got a lot of cool tools, yada yada yada. But the idea is that if you can get to 20 books out, you can make $50,000 a year. But their model is really based around you write specifically to market. If you're doing, military sci-fi, you figure out what are the 5 tropes that most exemplify that, and you just write books that hit those tropes. Lit RPG, same way. Progression fantasy, same way. And look, I'll say there are people doing it, and there are people that are doing 20 bucks 50K that I know that are writing really good books. But a lot of the people that are doing that, they're really just churning out books that are tropes in a wrapper. And to me, I don't enjoy them because, like what you're saying, Derek, they hit the things that you think you like, but they don't have anything to really flesh them out. You're just reading the tropes. Yeah.
I agree.
Ben, do you have any others you wanna talk about? Anything that really hit big?
I just looked over my shoulder and saw this, and I thought, I have to talk about this. Fish Police. You guys ever heard of Fish Police?
No, I have not.
No.
Okay. So Fish Police, back in the day, well, I mean, elementary school, we go to the comic store, and I started looking around for something, and I started buying Fish Police. So Fish Police is, yes, it's again anthropomorphic fish people. Basically, the story is there's a cop who wakes up one day in like a fish body. Gil, this is him.
Huh?
And he has no idea how he got into this fish society. It's like normal life, except everybody's a fish person, right? And it's very adult, which was great for me as an elementary school. They're talking about drinking and sex and, adult themes. And my parents are completely oblivious because it's a
Yep.
comic book, right?
Mm-hmm.
which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was also, they had limited runs. What I heard back then was that they were printing all the comics out and there was an error with the printing and they got skewed and so they got miscut. And rather than reprinting them, they just threw them away or whatever. So there weren't a lot of copies of especially certain issues that were released because of that. But fantastic, entertaining, adult comic. I don't think it's available in like e-format anywhere, which is a real shame because I don't quite have a complete collection. But it's the only, when I grew up and I kept my Fish Police. That was the only comic that I did not, get rid of.
Nice.
And so I have about 30 30 issues and this, like big book. But I think there are maybe 40, 45 total, something like that.
Yeah.
But I look every now and again at conventions, but you have to wade through the comics to try to find, and they're not even guaranteed they'll be there. So
Yeah.
my goal one day, finish my collection of Fish Police.
There you go.
All right.
That's what's
Yeah.
up.
Derek, you got something you wanna add on?
We're just gonna finally actually talk about Cradle.
There we go.
So, Will White's Cradle series. I think we probably talked about it a little bit on previous
I think we
seasons,
did.
but I love this book series so much, and it is both everything I want out of a series and also the exact opposite of what I normally like in my books. It's super weird and I don't know how to describe it. That's a lie. I know exactly how to describe it because
I think when I initially pitched it to you, I think I told you, it was like, you're either going to really love this or really hate this, because it really is like, it's one, on the one hand, it is exactly what you want out of it is anime in book form.
yes, it's very anime in book form. I love a lot about anime, but I have also a lot of critiques about anime. So it could go either way when it comes to this. But basically, what it comes down to is it has everything I like. The progression aspect I like. It's got mixtures of sci-fi and fantasy together, which is always a big plus for me. It's got a galactic scale, which is always something I enjoy. Like Bob knows this from where I spent a lot of my time reading and writing in high school and stuff like that. It was based around a background of a place where you had fantasy sci-fi intermingled. So that's a real near and dear to me, is having both of those things in a setting. And then, but on the other hand, I am the kind of person who loves writing that emphasizes writing. I don't know. I'm going to say this, and this isn't exactly right, but I love purple prose. Like, I like somebody that's going to take their time and craft a thing in a way that I enjoy. But you can overdo it. So I enjoy people
like the
that
Wheel of Time,
so no, you're wrong. But also, shut up. But also, like with the with this. So here's the thing: it's like this is perfectly serviceable writing, but at no point am I ever like, man, that was a good sentence. That's just not a thing that happens, and I love that. I love a good sentence, but it doesn't make sense for that to be in this type of book anyways, because this book is progression fantasy. It's build, 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 story, story, story. So it doesn't make sense that you're going to take the time to spend all this time to write a specific sentence, because it's going to break the momentum of the progression of the story.
Yeah.
So like paying attention, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but even if it wasn't, it does, whatever. I still enjoy it. So like everything about this I enjoy. Also, and Bob knows this, I am a sucker for names. I love a good name.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you there.
yeah, so you give me this, and I love anime, and I love like kung fu stuff, and I mean like every character in this has their own path for the most part. So there's all of these like epic named martial arts traditions. So it's like the path of black flame, or path of black flame, the path of twin stars, the all of the path of eternal night, all of these things, and I'm just like, I love literally everything about this. I
Yeah.
just need more of it in my life, inject it into my veins. So I read all these. There's I think 12 books in the series. I started about a month and a half ago listening to the audiobooks again, and I'm on book 10.
Nice.
So I've almost completed it entirely again, and it's so good. I just love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you do you know a song for quiet
I do not.
by Cassandra Call?
Uh-uh.
Cassandra Khaw, Call, I guess. So you speak about purple prose. That
Uh-huh.
is the purplest book I have ever read. I
Well, see,
couldn't finish it.
well, see,
It
there's
was it was
my
just
thing.
too much.
Well, my thing is I don't like that. Like my thing is there's a time and a place for it's a tool. You use it
Right.
for reasons. And purple's not necessarily what I necessarily mean. Have you read Patrick Rothfuss?
No.
Name of the Wind.
Okay. So Name of the Wind, like his writing isn't necessarily purple for the descriptive purpose or to be flowery, but the way he decides to turn his phrase is just beautiful. And I can appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But like this book, I started reading it and it was really well written. Good story. Like I don't have any complaints about it except the language was just consistently so flowery and poetic through
Mm-hmm.
the entire thing that you never get a break from it, right? It wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
they were crafting like, we're going to really hit it here,
Mm-hmm.
craft some great sentences. This is going to be powerful. It was the entire thing was trying to be that way.
So
And it really was a miss for me.
so
Oof.
that's a really quick aside. I used to write a lot, but the place where I did most of my writing, they were limited in scope. Like they were supposed to be there was an beginning and an end, so you could afford to be flowery with the way you wrote because it was relevant to what we were doing, but also because there's a start and an end point. It's not a full book. It's 1,000 words, 2,000 words maybe, and then you're done. And then you go on and you do something else.
Right.
I learned to write that way, and I enjoy writing that way. But then when you start trying to write like full things, you don't want to write that way. No one wants to read that forever. But then it's like, okay, where do I turn that on and off? Where do I,
Right.
and then I overthought it, and it became a, a whole thing for me. So then I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll just read some stuff.
Yeah.
I'll just read.
Yeah. Um, so I'm just going to, like I said, I read 52 plus books last year. I'm not going to, by any means, list them all out. I'm just going to say on the more trad published side of things, I read a lot of horror last year. Nick Cutter, Adam Neville, read some Stephen King, some Clive Barker. They're all, if you like horror, you really can't go wrong with any of them. And then on the indie side, I read a lot of Rachel Brune, which Chrome Girls Press. I'd read some of her stuff before, but I read a lot more of her stuff last year. And then three that were new to me that I liked what they wrote. Willa Blackmore wrote the Carolina Files. S.M. Hillman came out with his first book, a short story collection called The Language of Skeptics. And then C.N. Rowan wrote the Imperfect series, which I'll say this large reason why this started back when it did was because of him. Funny story. Uh, I don't know how he found me, but he reached out to me asking me for like advice on launching his first series. He writes kind of gritty urban fantasy set in France, um, and I gave him some advice, probably terrible advice. And then he went on and but he started listening to Book Spirits Booze and became like a big fan. And so every so often he like comments like, "Hey man, when are we getting new episodes? I want to hear new episodes." Um, but he then went on to launch his series, and his series blows mine out the water. He's got like 10,000 fans in his fan group and everything. Like he is absolutely killing it. I know he's going to hear this. Yeah, you should definitely go check out his series. It's really, really, really good. I read the first book. I will get to the rest of them eventually. I just I have so many like author friends, and I feel like I got to read at least one book for all of them.
Mm.
And
Good
so
luck.
yeah,
See,
yeah,
I have a safety net built in there because I pretty much listen to my books exclusively. So if it's not on Audible,
yeah,
sorry, man, I
yeah.
just can't.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I fucked up. Um, so Ben, do you have any like quick recommendations you want to give on stuff that you've
uh,
read recently that you?
Nothing's coming to mind
Okay, yeah,
at
that's
the
fine.
moment. But I will say, Bob, your book, I did read your book, your first book
Yeah,
in paper,
yeah,
which for me is like that's high praise. If
yeah,
I'm going to stick through a book
yeah,
in a physical format, yeah.
yeah.
So good job.
Much appreciated. Derek, you got anything you want to quickly add on?
uh, yeah, one thing real quick because I was going to make the joke, but this totally counts because I'm reading subtitles. But been watching Free Ren Beyond Journey's End, great anime.
Uh,
Watch it. But also, uh, I've read Bob stuff, but also I have to like make long breaks between reading Bob stuff because like I've read it before it was published.
yeah,
So I've got to kind of forget what it was
Right.
before and then read it in the completed version.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll also say, you need to, if you're not watching it, you need to go on to Netflix right now and watch Delicious in Dungeon. It is so good. It is like if Great British Bake Show was a dungeon crawl. It is so good. I can't even. It's about an adventuring party that goes into a dungeon and they start eating the monsters. And like,
What?
yeah, they start like so like at least like probably two times in every episode they have this like they'll have defeated a thing. It's like, okay, we're gonna do a quick montage of how we're gonna cook this thing, and
Oh my
it's
gosh.
so good. It is so good.
I'm gonna check that out. That
Yeah,
looks really good.
I think the first like 11 episodes are out. I think so. Yeah,
10.
10. Yeah,
First 10.
I do really want
Mhm.
to see Fearin, but
Yeah,
it's on Crunchyroll. I don't have Crunchyroll.
yeah.
So whenever it hits like Netflix or something, I 1,000,000% will watch that because what you've told me about it, I really
Yeah,
like.
just real quick, the basic premise is a lot of these, especially because this is an anime, a lot of them are all like, we're gonna go kill the Demon King. If there's a fantasy anime, it's gonna be, we're gonna go kill the Demon King. It's called
Right.
Free Run Beyond Journey's End because it takes place. They the first episode is right after they have killed the Demon King. So it's like, what happens to the hero's party after everything's done, and
Yeah,
how do you move on with your life, and how does that, and
Hmm.
the main character is an elf and all the others aren't, so everybody else is going to die and fade from memory, and it's going to leave her as the only person to kind of remember them, and how does that affect you and how you look at your life and the choices you made and things like that. It's a very introspective show about like growing old and things like that. It's very, very good.
yeah,
Yeah, sounds good.
yeah. So I do really want to see that. So all right, hopefully you took some great recommendations from stuff that we talked about that you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go check that out. And I hope a bunch of authors get a bunch of money from you, or that you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription and you read them on there. I think that's how I read Kitchen Witch or the House Witch trilogy, stuff like that. I don't know. A bunch of Adam Neville stuff's in KU. I don't know. There's all sorts of good stuff in KU. Go check it out. And hey, authors still get paid that way. So, um, and hopefully you will leave reviews for all these things that you have read. You really like you've probably seen authors say how much that helps, but Jesus fucking Christ, it helps. It is so easy for you to do. Just fucking do it. Anyway, um, all right. So, in the coming week, as you return to your normal life of progressing from one martial art style to the next,
Yes.
I hope that you eventually come to be powerful enough to take over the entire world through the use of probably what are we talking about, AI and otters and and
Right.
may your army of otters and raccoons be ever
Never turn
replenished.
on you.
Yeah, and and may the blessing of the beard be upon you.